This is a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District PTSA.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Pulley, and on behalf of Brighton Central PTSA, I'd like to welcome you to my favorite PTSA event of the entire year, the New York State PTA Honorary Life Membership Award presentation. The purpose of this award is to recognize individuals for their contributions to the welfare of children and youth. It is the highest honor our local PTA can bestow. In Brighton, this New York State Award has been given to community members since 1935. In honor of each recipient, a donation has been made to the New York State PTA Scholarship Fund. The goal of this fund is to recruit and maintain future generations of highly qualified teachers. The awardees will receive an official award proclamation, membership card, and lapel pin from the New York State PTA. For the nominators, this is what you'll give your awardee: a program, the card, and their pin. It's up here with everyone's name. The process to become an award winner is a fairly time-consuming job on the part of the nominator. The nominator must collect between 10 and 15 letters of recognition from administrators, colleagues, parents, and students. These nomination packets are received by the PTSA, and a committee reads every single letter. This year there were many, many letters, and it was wonderful. What a delight it is to read and learn of the accomplishments and the dedicated service of these fine women and men. Are there any previous recipients here with us tonight of lifetime membership? Would you please stand and receive recognition? Thank you. There's so many of you that came tonight. This year, we note one of our largest cohorts with 9 well-deserving individuals who spend the majority of their waking hours with our children, and our children are all the better for the time that they give us. We will jump right in. Our first nominator of the night is Mary Jo Jepsen. So Mary Jo, come on up and you can introduce your nominee and hand over this little triplet. Thank you.
Honorary, the first one up here, and that's all we go for. But I found it, Dee. I did. Good evening. I'm your mom away from home. If you didn't learn it at home, you're going to learn it here. You deserve a clean environment, just as everyone else does. Now, any student who has come through Miss Deirdre Carter's classroom door, either on the path of in-school suspension or structured study hall, has probably heard her say those statements. Dee works with our most at-risk students at times when they can be in their most chaotic state. But she provides a loving structure that is consistent for each student and yet seems tailored specifically for each one of them. I've worked with Dee in 2 capacities. When I was on the faculty at BHS, I sometimes would have a student who stubbed their toe and would need to spend some time with Dee. But always as I visited her room, I was struck by the orderliness and productive vibe of that space. The message to all students who entered there was, this is a workspace. This is a safe place. I also served with Dee during exam week, when her room is transformed into the conflict testing room. Okay? These are students who have more than one exam scheduled at the same time, and they are also in a bit of chaos as they come in. But Mrs. Carter gets them organized and calmed so that each student can have the best testing atmosphere. Her directions are clear, her procedures are neat and clean, the room is orderly, it's conducive to doing the best one can. Now, the adage that says 1,000 words, a picture is worth 1,000 words, really rings in Dee's case. When I put together her nomination packet, I put in some photos of posters that she has around her room. And those posters contain information such as, keep your work area clean, no sleeping, work quietly, stay focused, be on time. But these lists of behaviors don't say at the top rules. They say expectations. And with that one word, expectations, Dee, you handle over that responsibility to the students. Clever girl. As teachers, we know that it's wonderful to be recognized by our colleagues. We also know there is no greater reward than when one of our own students comes forward with an acknowledgement that what we have done has meant something to them. So Dee, I'm going to read to you what one student said in their letter of recommendation for this award tonight. This student writes, my name is, and I think to give an award to just anybody is unreasonable. You must earn it. You gotta work for it. And Mrs. Carter of Brighton High School is one for an award. She's one for recognition. She's a tender-hearted, tough lover. She cares about her students and values their futures. You know, as a study hall teacher, there's only so much you can do. Her tactics, mixed usage of discipline and love, are astonishing. It's as if every student is her own son or daughter. And if you're on her good side and willing to help yourself, well, she'll help you to the best of her ability. Now, she's raised 5 amazing, accomplished children. But it's as if she didn't want to stop there. She saw in the school, us students, as her opportunity to form even more success. A woman who is completely dedicated to her work and her job. You know, doesn't even seem like a job to her. It seems more like a mission to help people who are willing to help themselves. Now, she's helped me personally through some bad decisions that I wanted to make. But I knew I wanted to do better, and she saw that I was a kid with potential. I was open to wanting help. I wanted to seek release from stress and other obstacles. And she was one of the people who gave me motivation. She put me in to preach to me dedication and how hard work pays off. And still to this day, when I want to give up or even make a bad decision, she steers me away. Mrs. Carter reminds me that my life isn't over and that I must push through each day to succeed. And she isn't a liar. She's honest. Something we, as growing teens, really need, especially if we're going to face the realities of the world. Now, she wouldn't tell me I'm smart if I wasn't. And if I wasn't smart and I wanted to become smarter, she'd teach me ways to become smarter. She would connect stories of the present to her past and her experiences of raising her own children. She would restore hope through words and stuff, giving me information to keep me pushing through the day. These would be lasting stories, solid words. She's intelligent, and she is, and he wrote in capital letters, a real teacher. Dee, what more could be said? Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you all so much. I'm gonna make this real short and quick. I am honored and humbled. Words really cannot express how I feel right now. To even have a student to say those words is astonishing to even me. I am truly blessed. I'd like to take the time to thank Mary Jo, first and foremost, for even nominating me. I appreciate that greatly. Also for my husband and his dedicated love, and my children, who the students spoke of, because I have a lot of stories I tell about them. They have actually given me the confidence to do what it is I do for them, and the freedom to accept other children into my life. I do truly treat them all as if they were my own. That comes with a great amount of love that can sometimes hurt your feelings, but it's in love. It can sometimes make you think hard, but it's really all in love. I really want the best for them, and they know it. I truly do, just like I want for my own. And believe it or not, my own come and visit the classroom and have little conversations with them too. There was one time in particular, I had ISS only at the time, before we actually added academic study hall in. And a young lady was like, "Oh, Miss Carter, you're so sweet." And I was like, I just looked up at her. And my daughter, who was doing her master's at the time, was just there in the classroom studying, because it was a real quiet area. So she'd come in and she'd pop in and she'd sit down with the rest of the kids, because she looked like one of them anyhow, and would just study along with them. And she looked up slowly. She looked at the girl. She looked at me. She turned back to the girl. She said, "Don't you know that doesn't work on her?" Oh, Lord. So I really am thankful for them, because, like I said, they have given me the confidence. Their joy in life has really spurred me on to share the same things they have with other students. I also want to give much thanks and honor to the PTSA, that they even have something like this that would honor so many different people. It's a blessing. Also, I want to thank Tom Hall, my principal, and also Kevin McGowan, my superintendent. They embody what I feel when it comes to students, and it shows in our conversations and the things they do with the school, because I am all about the children. There is a song I sing in church, and it says, "Don't talk, don't talk, don't talk, don't talk defeat to me. I am a child of God, and I've got the victory." And I take that to the classroom. I don't want to hear negativity. Don't tell me you can't do. There's no such thing, because we're going to figure out a way how to do it. If you don't understand it, we're going to look it up. If I don't understand it, we're going to look it up. We're going to get on that internet. It was something my husband taught me a long time ago. I would ask him, "Well, what does this mean?" And he'll say, "Look it up." So it's the same thing I tell the kids. Look it up. Come on, let's get on there. Let's figure it out. And so I want to end this right now with a statement. Every month, I put up a new statement in the classroom that the children can see, that will hopefully inspire them in their education. And this one was from Bob Buprez, I believe is his name. And it says, "Education is a shared commitment between dedicated teachers, motivated students, and enthusiastic parents with high expectations." Thank you all.
Thank you. You can already get an idea why this is my favorite event of the year. Next up, our next presenter is Emily Brown. She is a parent of a Council Rock student.
I brought my moral support with me. Where is Ashley? There she is. Good evening, everybody. Here's a quick story that I think paints a picture of the kind of teacher and person that Ashley Youngman is. I was volunteering in her class one day, and she came up to me and whispered, "You have got to see this." She then played a Go Noodle music video on the smartboard while the class gathered on the rug and started dancing. She and I stood back and watched as the entire class proceeded to tear up the rug, not literally, with their wild dancing. I had never seen anything like it. "Aren't they amazing?" she said to me. And she just stood there watching her students with complete adoration and awe, and quite honestly, love. I think at that moment I really understood what a natural teacher Ashley Youngman is. She gives kids the freedom to just be kids, to be themselves. I can recall one curriculum night, Ashley got choked up talking about how much she loves her students. She said to the parents, "I want to thank you for sharing your wonderful children with me. A lot of people don't go to work really excited about their day, but I get to do that." I'll never forget when you said that, Ashley. She radiates positivity. She has the ability to put a positive spin on pretty much anything. When a student accidentally spills a tub of beads all over the classroom floor, her response is, "But we are so good at cleaning up." That is an amazing line, and I'm going to use that. My two daughters were both fortunate enough to have Ashley as their teacher at Council Rock, and I promised I wasn't going to have an ugly cry here on stage. I feel extremely lucky that my girls started out their education with such an inspiring role model. Ashley's patient and warm personality make her the ideal teacher for young children. She has a caring heart that understands and celebrates each student's individuality. All of her kids feel important and loved. Her wonderful sense of humor brings the class together. Educator Justin Tart was quoted stating, "Teachers who put relationships first don't just have students for 1 year. They have students who view them as their teacher for life." I know so many kids view Ashley Youngman as their teacher for life. It is my honor and privilege to present the PTSA Life Membership Award to my dear friend, Ashley Youngman. Love you. Good gravy. This is for you. I wore something with a lapel so I could put my pen on it. Goodness. Oh, wow. This must be like what Julia Roberts feels like, you know? I'd like to thank the Academy. Though it is kind of true because, let's face it, as teachers, we do earn an Oscar every day. You know, it doesn't matter if you've had just 2 hours of sleep and you accidentally sent the coffee maker for 6 p.m. instead of 6 a.m. and then you get in your car and it's on E. As soon as you step through those butterfly doors, game on. Gosh. I really would like to express my deepest gratitude to Emily, her beautiful girls,
and to the PTSA for this incredible opportunity. We are a really great team. You are an incredible association. I am very overwhelmed by this honor. I'm finding it really tricky to find the words to adequately express really truly what this means. I wrote stuff down and I keep looking, but wow, Julia Roberts does it better. So I mentioned butterfly doors. When I first started at Council Rock, I remember calling my mom on the way home and I was like, Mom, you wouldn't believe it, I get to walk through butterfly doors every day. There is a gumball clock. This place is amazing, you know? And 13 years later, I don't always enter through the main doors. Sometimes it's the green triangle doors or the yellow circle doors. It really all depends on whether or not my own children decide they like me in the morning and I can get here on time. But anyway, the point is, those doors, they're much more than just the decals that are on the windows. They're magic. Our school is magic, and that's what our children deserve. They deserve to walk through butterfly doors and feel magic every single day. Brighton is one very special place, and I do not take a minute for granted. The fact that beautiful Emily Brown and her family nominated for me for this award has left me stunned, obviously, not doing a nice job. Believe it or not, I was Cinderella in the 5th grade play. At some point they thought I was good at this. I'm not anymore. And I'm looking out and I see the BSE over there. See, it's an inside joke that if you were with us you would know about, but Sean knows. And I see other families that are so special and have left such a lasting impression in my heart. And I honestly feel that way about every single family that I have had the opportunity to get to know, not just me, because whether you like it or not, we will know each other. We will know pretty silly things about one another. I don't know. How do I even begin to explain what this profession means? Every day I am graced by 24 beautiful little people. My days are full of laughter and love and learning and tough life lessons. Okay, one of you should have said, like, that's alliteration. Why didn't I? No? Girl. Right? So, but it's not. It's not just my beautiful, wonderful families that fill my heart with joy. It's my colleagues. Yeah, all you. I admire you so very much as educators. I am in awe of you, and my family knows how lucky I feel to be able to work with you every day. The teachers in this entire district, whether they know it or not, have lifted me up in one way or another. They inspire me to become a better me, to become a better teacher, a better person. This job has given me something, just one of life's most valuable gifts, and that's a lifelong friendship. I am eternally grateful for that. So, like, this is where Hollywood would start, like, cueing that music, you know, like, let's go, lady, wrap it up. Okay, and so I will, but there's another really super important part of my life that I need to express gratitude towards, and that's my family. My 4 parents, my 2 right there, and my 2 that are out of state, my sisters and my brothers, they have all listened to countless stories about all your beautiful children. They have done it with such an attentive ear, and they hear the silliest stories. Well, I mean, I think they're super silly, but I don't know. They pretend like they're silly too. They listen to lesson ideas that I have, and they help me come up with better ones. Thank you so much, my family. And to my little family, my husband and my Annie and my Owen. Yay! We sit at the dinner table every night, and inevitably our beautiful, not babies anymore, ask us, Mama, how was you day? What did you tell the children? And Owen will say, Mama, I got this book for you. You need to bring it to the kids, because they love our kids. You know, they were even so sad to hear about the Rainbow Playground. And my best friend Steve, my husband Steve, he's my sounding board, he's my rock. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but sometimes I can be kind of emotionally charged. And I know, it's really shocking. Steve's the one that kind of pulls me back in. He has read every single one of your child's report cards twice because, and not for grammar, because if he didn't, it would just sound like this bleeding heart wrote all of your children's report cards. And you know what? You probably should have proofread this speech. Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that this job is not a job at all. It is my life, and in a really good way. It's who I am. I'm so proud of what I do. I am so proud of the children that have blessed my life. I am eternally grateful for the families. You have put your trust in me, and you have allowed me the opportunity to teach. I am honored by this award, but I don't fully feel deserving because I have so much more to learn and give. But I will promise you that I will try every single day to be worthy of such an honor.
Judy Wegman.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like you to imagine a teacher who, after 27 years of teaching, approaches each day with the same enthusiasm as the first day she began her career. This would be Lisa Jordan, or Miss Lisa, as her students affectionately call her. Lisa has the unique and extraordinary ability to change your life in an instant, just by being herself. You can only become better by having Lisa as a teacher or by working alongside her as a colleague. Yes, it is about art education, but Lisa shares so much more. Lisa sees the world differently than most of us, and she conveys this message to her students. She encourages them to look within to discover their creativity, and she values each individual student and adult. The process of creating is so much more important than the final result for Lisa. She encourages children to get messy. Mike Leaner shared that he often hears Lisa say, "If you ain't getting messy, you ain't learning." Lisa models for them how she moves through an artistic process herself and how it is not always easy. Most importantly, she helps them learn how to overcome challenges and move forward. She is joyful in the delivery of instruction, and every child knows that she or he will be successful with Miss Lisa. Her expectations for children are high, but students know she will simply never give up on anyone. A colleague writes about Lisa that she's so easy to collaborate with because of her special creativity. She's open to new ideas. She's flexible in her thinking. Lisa encourages her students to be free thinkers. Those of you who know Lisa, you know that, well, her energy is rather contagious. And that energy makes her classroom a magical place, whether it is in the Council Rock Art Room or at Brighton High School in a photography lab. Another colleague shares how Lisa creates an environment that helps all children succeed. She recalled a time when a child in her classroom had a limited use of his hand. This child dreaded paper and pencil tasks. Lisa's acceptance and patience with this student helped him persist to the point where he chose to draw during his own free time. Another colleague shares that she feels that Lisa is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of person. She has an everlasting effect on you. The same colleague recalls the amazing projects Lisa does with students, especially the Tooth Fairy project at Council Rock, which is legendary, complete with different voices and an imaginary phone call to the dentist. Need something done? Lisa Jordan is the first person to stand forward to say, I can help, and she's the real deal. She consistently goes above and beyond in the workplace, assisting colleagues with art tasks, collaborating on classroom projects, hanging art for art shows with results that appear to be a professional art event, and so much more. Maybe your child has participated in one of Lisa's workshops at Festival of Ideas supporting our PTSA. Maybe your children experienced the Council Rock Art in the past, or your child participated in the many years of Council Rock's Family Math Day. Lisa was there for all of it. You might even have a t-shirt that Lisa created for one of those events. Maybe you've seen Lisa walking the stretch of Monroe Avenue, picking up trash with members of the Brighton Teachers Association as part of the Adopt a Highway program. Her ability to organize, her attention to detail, her willingness to be a part of anything, and her passion is what drive her each day with every task. Lisa's greatest desire is to make a difference every day of her life, and she wants no acknowledgement, for that is simply who she is as a person. Lisa's passion for humanity is palpable. She spends her free time helping others in the community. You can find Lisa supporting her faith community as a master gardener or organizing and volunteering at an annual plant sale. She can give you great gardening tips, or if you need more help, Lisa will come over and help you dig a hole. For several years, Lisa supported a local Rochester diner by helping to acquire, cook, and serve Thanksgiving meals for those in need. Picture this: Lisa driving around town, collecting turkeys from various supermarkets when the diner was running low. Can you imagine any supermarket saying no to that southern drawl request for a couple of turkeys? No way. Lisa once spent over a week of her free time helping an area church, which was not even her own church, preparing for a rummage sale whose proceeds were to support a chronically ill woman who needed a wheelchair ramp installed at her home. Lisa sees a need, she believes she can help, and she makes it happen. She inspires us all to move a step forward and make a positive difference every day of our lives. She is as simple and as extraordinary as that. Lisa has the unusual assignment of working every day with both ends of our Brighton learners, our youngest children at Council Rock and our oldest students at Brighton High School. Even with that wide range of ages, Lisa does not change how she approaches her students. Genuine kindness, respect, a dose of humor, and love cross all ages, and students feel it. Lisa has a powerful and genuine connection to her students. Many students will identify this characteristic in Lisa even before the art. There's nothing more powerful for a student than to know that they are cared for, and this connection can change a life. One colleague shared that Lisa greets her students at Council Rock and Brighton High School in the same way, and so many of us have heard her say, "Hello, my loves," as they come to her class, and she means it. Council Rock students share that Miss Lisa gives us challenges, and she's always there to help us. She helps me keep trying and not give up. Miss Lisa makes everything fun, and she gets to know everyone. She speaks quietly. She always makes me feel happy, and she smiles a lot. Miss Lisa likes to be silly. Former students now at French Road and 12 Corners Middle School recall how Miss Lisa recognized art potential in them, and they remember making things like pinch pots and self-portraits. She helped us to believe in ourselves. Current Brighton High School students share that Lisa gives them freedom to explore an art topic in their own way. A Brighton High School student shares that those who are lucky enough to take one of Mrs. Jordan's classes are given the key to unlock their own creativity and passion. She genuinely listens to us and is interested in who we are as people. She always remembers to ask me what I'm up to with my art and gives me feedback and encouragement. I'm grateful she's here for me. Current Brighton High School student Vivian Rapp works with Lisa as a student intern at Council Rock every day. Vivian shares that this experience solidified her desire to pursue art education in college. She recalls observing how Lisa makes a difference in the lives of these students, and this helped her to realize that teaching art is an amazing career to pursue. Come back to Brighton once you finish your degree. Lisa continues to grow herself as an educator. As she sets high expectations for her students, Lisa does the same for herself. She's always thinking of ways to connect students to each other, colleagues to each other, buildings to each other, and most importantly, connecting to our community. You may have had the opportunity to see a recent collaboration where Lisa organized Council Rock students and Brighton High School students, where the young children in Lisa's art class created imaginary animals, and then Lisa's Brighton High School photography students took those animals and further developed the art by photographing them in creative, unexpected places. It was a project that developed student relationships, thinking interdependently, creativity, and communication. It was with great pride that the Council Rock and Brighton High School students stood side by side, showcasing their collaborative pieces in an art show at Brighton High School. And this is only one of many examples. Council Rock Principal Matt Tappan shares that Lisa is wonderful in every way, kind, generous, quirky, completely invested in students and families, a tireless advocate for children, and an all-around incredible teacher and person. Former Principal Mary Reed shared that Lisa has an unconditional regard for students. She accepts where every child is without judgment. Lisa is willing and able to personalize and customize her instruction as well as support students through the learning experience to discover and grow their own confidence, flexibility, and creativity. Lisa simply will never give up on a child because she truly cares about every single student, and they sense that commitment. Parents share how Lisa welcomes them into her art room to serve as helpers. They are amazed at how she is able to keep track of hundreds of student artwork. Parents share that Lisa shows individual concern for students and encourages them to do their best by pointing out the many unique touches they put into each art piece. They share that Lisa goes above and beyond every day. Lisa will comfort a child who is going through a difficult time with a hug. She will go dumpster diving, searching for a lost piece of art. It's true. Lisa makes graduation gifts for every second grader moving to Frez. One parent shared that her 4th grade daughter found an art project she completed in 2nd grade on her desk at Frez just a few weeks ago. Lisa had found it and took the time to deliver it back to her daughter, who was thrilled that Lisa would do that. All of the letters of support for Lisa share the common thread of commitment, dedication, unconditional regard, selflessness, creativity, kindness, and more. Lisa is clearly a treasure. I believe we will encounter only a few educators and individuals such as Lisa in our lifetime. How fortunate for Brighton that Lisa is part of our community. A treasure indeed. Lisa, you're so deserving of this recognition. Congratulations on being the recipient of the PTSA Life Membership Award.
Y'all, thank you so much. It's, as much as I love being in public, it's very hard for me to accept praise, and I am so humbled, and I don't want to miss anybody, but so I'm just going to say a group thank you to everyone. I can stand here because I'm accepting this award with you. It's not just for me. What I do because of the help I get and the wonderful support I have. And I threw a slideshow together because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and we didn't practice this or anything. I'm very fortunate when the children ask me, Miss Lisa, how did you know you're an artist? And I always say, I just kind of knew. It's just what I do. And when I was in college and realized you can just hit some slides, there's no rhyme or reason to this. When I was in college, I taught, with some classes and ended up just staying at a home for developmentally disabled adults. And I got a class of friends who were nonverbal, and one of my, it's probably what like solidified the fact that I was going to be a teacher, when after weeks and weeks of working, and we decided to have an art show, and when I asked one of my students, do you think this is finished? What about putting something here? And she looked at me and said, done. And I went, well, I think you are then. And so, it just works. And, and to see and to be a part of Brighton, this community, I am so thankful. I cry, I really do. I get a lump in my throat every fall when we have the homecoming parade. It's like, Mayberry RFD. And, I'm just so fortunate to be a part of this community. And when I see my former students out and about, it's so funny, I can't remember where my car keys are, but yet, I went into a pharmacy one day and I looked and I sat there and I went, Danielle, you were at the red table in Miss Marcajohnny's class, right? And she's like, what? And I had a Council Rock hat on. She said, oh, wait, that's you? You remember that? And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I don't remember a lot, so it's just fun. It's really cool. And, when I went to urgent care one day, the doctor looked at me and said, wait a minute, are you Miss Jordan? And I looked at him, I went, oh, little brother. And I had him, he wasn't my student, but his sister was an independent study student when I first taught at the high school, and he was so nervous about being, at the high school, and so I would just tell him, you come on in, little brother, it's going to be okay. So we called Hefsey in Chicago and left a message for her, and then called the mother and daddy. So, it's incredible, the connections. Now, we were talking about working together and doing for others. At Council Rock, we've done Habitat for Humanity, and my granddaddy taught me, those who much have been given, much is expected. So it just comes, second nature to me to want to help others. And I know John Novelli kind of, where are you, John? He's probably getting pale looking at this. He hides power tools from me because I like to fix things. And I've broken the pipes before, in my sink. And so anyway, I'll help do gardens. And after we build the gardens, then we go out and make, do pictures of them. So I'm thankful that you can just keep going. I'm just and my children, went to, graduated from here, and I had to put them in. This is what they look like on the first day of school. And then how many times, you can go ahead. True picture. They helped me hang shows for years and years at the boardroom. So this is what I do to my children. So you just, I'm afraid I know some. Oh, and if there are any TAs here who are here back in the day, I refer to you as my TRA, teacher's right arm. The things we have gotten ourselves into in my art room, amazing. I can't do what I do without my helpers that come in, my amazing parents. It's hard when I look at them and smile and say, now, honey, if your back goes numb and you can't feel your fingers, you need to stop using the cutting board. I do things by the hundred. So, and this is just an homage to going to the high school after years of, just being at Council Rock. Almost all creativity requires purposeful play, and I am so blessed to work and to have work with wonderful people there, to have my former students, my babies that I taught at Council Rock are now back at the high school with me. And I laugh, in class and say things like, now, is that the Council Rock way? And they'll go, well, no, it isn't. So this holds over. So, it's so cool. And they know, too, pretty quickly if I say, I've got an idea. I think this will work. I don't think it's going to be hard. And 3 weeks later, we're sweating bullets. But this is what we get. So to be able to challenge each other, to raise the bar, to have incredible expectations, to share with my children all ages. Life is tough. We make mistakes. You pick yourself up, you do the next right thing, and have humor, and be open to humor, and to know that you can turn things around. And you just get up the next day and say, I'm grateful. We're almost done. and I let them look for hearts at the high school and constantly just love yourself, be kind to you. Only have one rule, be kind. Accept yourself, you're a gift, you are who you are. Use those abilities to create, and know that when we create, it gives our emotional part of our brain time to rest. It's a respite. It's a wonderful place to be. Accept yourself, forgive yourself, stand back up, do the next right thing, and it's all going to be okay. So thank y'all.
Amy Moran is next up.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Welcome. I would like to thank, I'm going to just preface it that we followed the 5 to 7 minute rule for both parties, so we followed the rubric. So I'd like to thank the Brighton PTSA for making this lifetime membership award available. It's a serious effort, and many people contributed on behalf of Katie. I'd like to thank Katie's sons, Josh and Nick, for keeping it on the down low, but you're not allowed to keep any more secrets from your mom. That's it. Unless she gets another award. So when I read the email about this award, I thought the thought of nominating Katie was very easy. And then asking colleagues, everyone was on board and said, oh my gosh, yes, the story. So I'm not going to read all of those. The students, administrators, families, to support her was easy and without hesitation. But now that I stand here, that's the challenge. Because I really would need the equivalent of Ken Burns' documentary to describe what she does in a school week. So, Nick, you want to roll that? Just kidding. Just kidding. But she's worthy of that level. She could be her own documentary. So there really aren't enough words faceted enough to describe how Katie does enrich our school week, the world that we live in middle school. It's such a unique place. And her contributions to our community. So in that mindfulness matter, I say that the approval of the PTSA accepting this nomination on Katie personifies her enthusiasm, her integrity, and the attention that she brings to her job every day for every child, and us as colleagues. She's there for all of us. So we're fortunate to have her as our librarian, as our colleague, as our mentor, and our friend. So congratulations to you, Katie, and thank you for making 12 Corners a great place to learn.
Thank you, Amy. So while Amy was busy hustling around getting all of these letters, I was busy writing a letter for Dave Luce. I was completely clueless about all of this. So we have some really great secret keepers in our Brighton community, can I just say. I started my life, my work life, as an auditor for Price Waterhouse, and I thought that was a great job, and it really was. And then I spent 10 years at home raising my kids, and I thought that was a great job, and it really was. And then I got this job at TCMS, and I have to say, this is really something special. I know not many of you, if any, are school librarians, but it is really an opportunity. I get to keep an eye on literature, right? I get to keep up with what's happening. I get to play around with technology every day. And I get to learn something every day. Every day I learn something new. whether it's from a colleague, whether it's from a kid, whether it's from a teacher's content area. I really feel like I'm kind of back in school myself to an extent. None of this would have been possible without all of the awesome teachers who collaborate with me. My entire program is based on collaboration. So for those of you who collaborate with me, you make this possible. You really should be up here with me. Without collaboration, that library is just a big space with books in it. It's through that collaboration that we really can make something special for our students and for our teachers too. We learn together all the time. It's awesome. To my thinking partners, my collaborative partners, I so appreciate your willingness to learn and grow together. Really, we share ideas all the time. You hear mine, I hear yours. We kind of come together to refine those into meaningful learning experiences, and that's a really rewarding job. Many, many, many thanks as well to Annette, who makes everything possible in those hallways outside our library, all those awesome displays. We talk together and she makes it happen. So she is an integral part of our program. Our PTSA, thank you for helping out with things like book fairs and author visits. I know I come to you at the last minute and ask you for 8 million people and 8 million jobs, and I'm sorry, but we do that to try and help our kids learn and grow. To the administrators, thank you. Thank you for advocating on behalf of our library program. You keep an open mind. You've kept an open mind, as we've kind of brought our program to its current state and look to the future. I really appreciate that. Your support is very important. And lastly, none of this would have been possible without my family, my friends, my dear, dear neighbors, Karen and Glenn. I have learned so much about friendship, love, and support from you. Thank you for helping me grow.
Next up will be Leslie Seltzer.
It was with deep appreciation and affection that I nominated Dave Luce for this PTSA Lifetime Membership Award. For those of you that don't know, Dave is the head of the custodial staff here at TCMS. He actually was responsible for this setup tonight so he could receive his own award. Now, the efforts of employees like Dave often fly under the radar of parents' view, but as a TCMS building chair and middle school volunteer these past 3 years, I had a chance to witness the many wonderful facets of Dave. Now, we know when an involved parent heads into the school to volunteer, we're often met with that, uh-oh, here comes another one of those parents' looks of hesitation and slight dread. To my surprise, Dave gave out not only his email, but his cell phone number, with the directive to contact him if he needed anything at all. And he proved time and time again that he meant it. As over-enthusiastic parents who want to help, we often get in over our heads with logistics. Countless times I've reached out to Dave hesitantly to ask for help, knowing how busy he is on a daily basis, only to be met with a no problem and a speedy resolve to our situation. Now, it's come to my attention from all the letters that I read that this man can build just about anything. Kids need a scooter rack, Dave's on it. New 21st century furniture pieces arrive and classrooms need to be set up and configured ASAP, Dave flies into the rescue. New office structures delivered on a day off from school, Dave comes in and takes care of it. He has a genius level of structural and logistical abilities. And when Dave says he will help you, he will not give up until your problem is resolved. When setting up the teacher's luncheon in the library classroom a couple years ago, we had a number of old rice cookers plugged in. They kept overloading the circuits and tripping the breakers in the room.
One called to Dave, and he was present trying to solve the problem. He did so with a sure no problem as usual and kept coming back good-naturedly to our repeated cries for help. He ran up and down 3 flights of stairs numerous times, a Herculean feat in my book as it is, to keep resetting the breakers. He was moving plugs into different outlets, trying to figure out how to solve the electrical overload with just the right configuration. And of course, this helped me to succeed in our event. His hands-on abilities are not only the only impressive thing about Dave. His unwavering openness to offer up his talents without a complaint, look of annoyance, or hesitation in getting it done is a testament to his big heart and calm temperament. Whether it's coming to him with requests well beyond the scope of his job, like moving a flatbed of bash decorations, repositioning tables for school pictures to fulfill our PTSA vision of flow, or talking through logistics of activity night setup, he does so with a sincerely kind, always patient, and amiable response. As one colleague wrote, "When I started at this school, I was told on my tour of TCMS by a fellow teacher, the head custodian at this building truly sets it apart from any other building that you'll ever work in." As if his generously helpful relationships with parents and staff are not more than enough proof to show his worthiness and embodiment of the qualities this honor speaks to, his relationship with the kids in the school are sweet, gentle, and engaging in a thoughtful and appropriate manner for whatever age group he is with. His kindness is legendary and remembered by children long after they have left the building that he is working in. The students will tell you, "Dave is the best." And my personal favorite quote from the 30 student letters that I got about Dave, "He's shown he will even suck up the wasp before they sting you." He is a beautiful soul and the hero we all look to at TCMS. Congratulations, Dave. And this is yours.
Oh boy. Now, I wrote a speech. I've been working in maintenance my whole life. I'm not an English teacher, I'm not a librarian, so bear with me. And I just wrote it an hour and 55 minutes ago, so I did not rehearse it. All right, it starts out with good evening. My name is Dave Luce. I'm the head custodian of the middle school, but Leslie already told you that, so. Okay, it's not too often I get the opportunity to wear a suit. It's also not an opportunity of mine to ever give a speech, so I'm taking advantage of this. They said 2 minutes, but no one else took 2 minutes, so. I was going to talk really fast, but I'm going to go a little slower. All right, where are we at here? So, I can't tell everyone how excited and proud I am to be given this award. I'm so excited that I actually did write a speech this morning, and it was like 30 minutes long. So I started over. I had to cut out the story about when I worked at Counteract, my second day. Me and John were chasing a mouse around in the office, and I thought it went into my leg, into my pants. I was like, no way. 2 hours later, I kicked my leg, and a mouse flew out. And I cut out the time I was working on the 4th floor of the high school in an English room, in the ceiling, and I broke a water pipe during the middle of class, full of kids. It wasn't cool. But I did learn, if you ever break a water pipe and there's kids below you, if you stick your thumb in the pipe, the water stops. I didn't learn that until after, though. That was a mess. Hundreds of gallons of water, I was told, but I was up, they were all down, so I didn't. Let's see, I started in 2005 working at Counteract with John Novelli over there. It was supposed to be a temporary job while I went to college during the day, and my first couple years there, I wasn't so great. I was a terrible cleaner. I'm a little better now, but terrible. So John, I'd like to apologize for those first couple years. I think I've come a long way since then. But once I got my act together, I started to move up the ladder a little bit, and I was promoted to a daytime cleaner at French Road, where I got to work with Tom Hall, one of my favorite people in the world. I absolutely loved working there and with him, and I hope one day to be half the leader that he is. After French Road, I was given the opportunity to fill in over at Central Office as the head custodian. It was a change of pace. I wasn't used to working with adults, but I learned that adults are just kids that got a little older. They make the same messes as kids, sometimes even worse, and they break way more stuff. But the staff over there was fantastic. I loved working with them. I got to know Lou and Kevin a little better, which was awesome. After that, I was given a very big opportunity to work as a maintenance mechanic in the boiler room. The district paid for me to go to class, which was awesome. And it's a good thing they did, because before I went to class, I thought air conditioning was kind of magic. Like, how does it make the cold air? It's not magic. It's pretty boring, actually. But I'm glad to know that now, so thank you for the gentleman that paid for me to go to school. Kevin Geisel was my boss back at the time, and he's not here, right? Yeah, we're good then. Those of you that know Kevin know he has a reputation for being a little rough and tough on his guys, but I found him to be the opposite. He was the first boss that actually believed in me. Not that John didn't believe in me, but you know, it's a more simple job over there. This was a very complex job. So, especially in the beginning when I didn't know what I was doing, but he would send me to do the most complex, way over my head things, and he would give me as much time as I needed, but I eventually figured it out, which was awesome. And I can't thank him enough for actually teaching me to trust myself, which was awesome. And that brings me to my current job, head custodian of the middle school. That's this place right here, in case anyone didn't know. Before this position, I had zero experience as a supervisor. When I was hired, there was supposed to be a trial period where the administrators decided if I was a good fit or not. It was supposed to be like a month, but I've been here for over 3 years and a number of hours, and I still haven't heard whether or not they're going to keep me. It's a terrible feeling when you wake up in the morning and wonder if today's the day they decide they don't like you anymore. So here at the middle school, I'm in charge of 9 cleaners and a mechanic, and they're the ones that deserve all the credit here. They're working, you know, day in and day out, doing the exact same thing every day. Not an easy job, especially when we're short people and when we have big events like this going on. So I'd like to thank Andy, Paul, Joanna, Irene, Bobby, Tim, Kaina, Latoya, Billy, and Rick for taking care of this building like it was their own, which makes me look like I'm doing a good job, which is awesome. And speaking of doing a good job, I have to be honest here. One of the compliments I get the most is how quickly I respond to things. I have a phone. Anytime a teacher emails me, ding, right on my phone. My phone's always in my hand. I'm always playing games. No, not really. But it's always in my hand. So I'm able to respond, you know, within seconds, which is a little quicker than the last guy here. So I would like to thank my phone for this award. Let's see. Growing up, we're going all the way back now. All the way back. Growing up, my dad was a superintendent of a bunch of different apartment complexes. So I remember being 5 or 6. Me and my little brother would have to go with him when he had a call for something that was broken. And he always made sure he showed us and taught us what was going on with all that stuff. You know, I wanted to stay home and play with my Ninja Turtles and play Nintendo. But looking back on it now, I'm glad he showed me all the stuff, because everything I know was taught to me by my dad. And YouTube. If you can't find something, look on YouTube, it's there. So, thanks to my dad knows everything. He always said growing up he could fix everything, and me and my brother always laughed, yeah, sure you can, Dad. But really, he can fix anything. But anything he can't fix, I can fix. I can fix everything now. Ask my kids, I tell them all the time. So in closing, I have a million people to thank, but I'll keep it brief. Thank you, Leslie, so much. That was one of the most beautiful couple paragraphs I've ever heard in my entire life. It was great. And thank you to the PTSA for putting on all the events for the children and the staff. It's amazing how much work they put into everything. I sit in on a lot of meetings with them, and it's crazy. It's not crazy, but it's great, but it's a lot of work. A big thank you to all the teachers, secretary, and support staff in all the buildings that I've worked in. I think I've worked in just about every single one. I've gotten to know a lot of them, and a lot of them are my good friends to this day. Some of my best friends work in this building. Special shout out to the attendance secretary, Laura Bender, and the 2 main office secretaries, Maria Hill and Tanya Armstrong. They are my personal guidance counselors and therapists. We do a lot of talking, so I love you guys, thank you. And also a huge thank you to all the students I've had the pleasure to get to know over the years. They keep my job fun and it's sometimes very interesting. Every time I go to the store, I see one, and you know, hey Dave, how's it going? Or Mr. Luce, and you know, hi. My kids think I'm like famous. They're like, wow, everyone knows you, that's great. And thank you all for coming and listening to me ramble about some nonsense. And thank you again, Leslie and the PTSA. Thanks, guys.
This is still my favorite event. Next up is Danielle Edmunds.
I have to start by apologizing. I'm not sure I heard anybody's speeches tonight. I think they were all good, but like a secondary educator, people often say, you know, educators are like the age level that they teach, and I definitely went into adolescent mode tonight and sat and thought about everything else I possibly could, except giving this speech. So I thought about Judy and how mad I am at her because she said to me, Danielle, 2 minutes. It's all you have to do. 2-minute speech, no videos, no pictures, nothing. And I just sat through Judy's speech and pictures, and I'm thinking, okay, what did I lose there? Then I have to follow Dave, right? Like, that's not even fair. We should have like coordinated or something about this. So I was thinking about everything else besides giving this speech, because for obvious reasons it's such a difficult one to give. I know that as I talk about Shelley for the next few minutes, there's nothing that I can say that can truly articulate who she was as an educator in our community. The only saving grace that I have is that I know every single one of you, I can say every single one of you has been touched by her in some capacity in this district, and you all know what she brought to this district. So even though what I say will fall short, I know in your heart, you know the truth of it. So I'm going to start with just a little story from when I first met Shelley here at TCMS. The special ed teachers were always great to me. They kind of took me in as one of their own, and I ate lunch with them every single day. And when Shelley first came over, we got into this silly conversation about pomegranates. And I was talking about how much I loved pomegranates, but that A, I hated seeding them, or whatever you call that process, and B, I was way too cheap to buy the pre-seeded pomegranates. So therefore, I rarely ate them. And then Shelley went on, I swear, 10 minutes talking about how seeding a pomegranate is one of the most favorite things that she can do. It's calming, it was, you know, I mean, she just went on and on. Like I don't even know what to equate it with, but you would think it was the greatest thing on the face of the earth. And I sat there looking at her, thinking two things. Like, one, this woman has way too much time on her hands if she loves seeding pomegranates that much. And two, I'm not really sure what to think about somebody who has this as one of their top things to do in life. But anyway, so that was my first impression, really, of Shelley. And we both, you know, the bell rang, we both went back to our 8-9 classes and we taught. And the next morning, I was standing in homeroom, and in comes Shelley with that huge smile on her face and a container of the cleanest pomegranate seeds you have ever seen in your entire life. And they were cleaned with such pride, and she was so happy to give them to me. And I laugh because, you know, that's the special person that Shelley was, but I think that that was an absolute metaphor for who she was as a teacher. When you look at those pomegranate seeds, those seeds were her students. And Shelley did, in her entire career, everything that she could to clear the way for her students, to make sure that they had everything that they needed to be the most successful students that they could. And it's silly to kind of equate the two, but that's what she did. And I still can't look at a pomegranate. I think, you know, at times I think, what was I doing wrong? Because when I clean a pomegranate, it looks like a violent crime scene has occurred in my house, or either that, or like I've created some new genre of art called like antioxidant watercoloring, water painting, I don't know what it is. But she peeled away that hard exterior, and she navigated through that pith. And she set those seeds aside to float in that cool, watery bath so that I could enjoy them. And she did it with pride and satisfaction. And like I said, that's what she did with her students. She peeled away at their exteriors to reach their inner core, their inner academic potential. She handled each child's potential gingerly, like each pomegranate seed, and gave it a bowl of its own to grow and shine in. One family who wrote a letter, and there were so many letters, it was amazing, but one family who wrote a letter attested to this and said, Shelley skillfully approached supporting our daughter in ways that gave her, her teachers and administrators, and even us as parents confidence in our roles. She had special instincts to give our daughter the time and space to grow independently. She analyzed how our daughter learned, and she tailored her teaching to that style, propelling her to reach her full potential. And on other days when life wasn't going so well and students were facing challenges, it wasn't uncommon to hear Shelley say to her students, "We'll get through this. I may be disappointed in your decision at this moment, but you know I love you and I'm here for you." Carefully and patiently cleaning those seeds. That's what Shelley did every single day with her students. And I'm going to give you one more moment that I think articulated best what Shelley was as an educator. This fall was really difficult logistically for Shelley, more than in years past, and it had to do with a lot of things that were out of her control. And she was frustrated, but like Shelley, she was always looking for a way to solve the problem. She wasn't one to just complain about it. She wanted to dig in and solve that problem. And it was like she grabbed me and she just said to me, "Danielle, we have to do better. We have to be better. We owe it to our students to be better." And that's the sentiment, just like cleaning those pomegranate seeds, that Shelley demonstrated every single day. She challenged the status quo, for sure, and many of us were on the receiving end of that. And she did it because she knew that all of us, her students, the families of her students, and her colleagues, each has something valuable that's worth fighting for. And she was going to be the one to fight for all of that. She was firm with her students. She did not accept excuses. But man, was she their biggest cheerleader when they showed progress and growth. In Dr. McGowan's nomination letter, he attested to this tenacity that Shelley showed. He said Shelley never ever gave up on a child and was dogged in her pursuit of success for each and every student. She was their most powerful and passionate advocate. And Erin Bandstrom, her colleague at the high school, also wrote about her dedication and passion. She said Shelley was never afraid of who she would offend or what someone might say, as long as she was doing what was right for her students. She never accepted no without relentlessly questioning the why behind decisions that impacted students. Shelley was a force to be reckoned with, but it was always in service of her students. So obviously I could go on and on about Shelley's merits and why she was so deserving of this award. But I'm going to sum it up with the clear words of a parent who wrote a letter on Shelley's behalf. She said, "Mrs. Fitz changed our son's world, our world, and the world of every student who was lucky enough to work with her. And for this, Shelley is beyond deserving of this award."
Thank you for those kind words. I promise to keep it under 2 minutes. I'm in school, and when you're in school, you follow the rules, so I was told 2 minutes. I'm not going to say a lot because this is my award, though I do feel like I played a small supporting role in Shelley's teaching career. From my different perspective, I can help just verify that she is very deserving of this award. I didn't get to experience her school day, but I did experience what happened outside of her school day. So I know that Shelley wasn't someone who came into school in the morning unprepared and left right at the final bell without another thought of her kids or responsibilities. She cared a lot for her students. Some of her favorite students, and yes, she had favorites, were the ones that had the greatest needs. She touched a lot of lives and touched many in ways that really impacted them, and not just her students. If you worked with Shelley, you probably learned something from her, whether it was a lot of little things or maybe some of the big things. If you hold on to those things, her impact will keep reaching others. Teaching is a hard job and no one can do it alone. If she were here, she would thank people, both here and not, for their part in inspiring her, their help and support, and also their friendship. I know that Shelley didn't just work hard, she really enjoyed her job, from making an important impact to the many friendships she found here. I know she would really appreciate this award. Shelley also wouldn't be against me putting in a plug for the special education department. And they do more than many realize, and they deserve a lot of recognition. I want to thank the PTSA for doing an event like this, and the district, from the superintendent to administrators to the many teachers and support staff in Brighton that help support us during our tough times. I really appreciate all you've done, going above and beyond what I would expect, and Shelley did too. I also appreciate the friendships that I've developed through Shelley here in Brighton. So thank you very much.
Okay, now to the high school. We have Cassie Pruitt up next.
Good evening, everybody. Meghan Gibbons is a remarkable teacher, mentor, friend, and mother. Meghan has been my colleague at Brighton High School in the special education department for 9 years. And throughout our time teaching together, we've shared many triumphs and a lot of tragedies with students, all of which she's met with a smile. One of Meghan's most outstanding characteristics is compassion, which I feel like has been a theme tonight. She meets students with this extraordinary compassion every day. The best example of this is her breakfast club, as Aaron Vanstrom calls it. A few years ago, Meghan discovered that a lack of breakfast for our 15-to-1 classroom students was really negatively impacting their learning. Not only did she write a grant for food for the students, but she arrives by 7 a.m. daily to unlock the classroom and provide a safe space for these students. This incredible act of kindness has allowed her to not only impact student achievement, but has allowed her to build relationships with students who do not have positive school experiences and are definitely at risk for not graduating. Even when our jobs are hard, Meghan continues to think outside the box, encourage all of us, and provoke us to support students in any way possible. Nominating Meghan for this award was the least we could do to acknowledge all she has done. Congratulations.
Okay. Wow, that was very sweet, Casey. Thank you so much. For those of you who know me well, know that this situation right here is quite possibly the closest thing to torture that you could do for me. It was extremely overwhelming thinking about what I was going to say tonight, to thank everybody and acknowledge all the people that need to be acknowledged. But being nervous, as I'm looking around right now, being nervous is kind of silly because I'm looking out and I'm seeing a lot of really familiar, friendly faces that I interact with on a daily basis. I'm seeing families, past students, current students. I'm seeing students here, and that's actually making all the difference in me being able to get up here and say thank you to you all. So I won't take long. I know everybody's been sitting for quite a while. There's some kids here, including my own, that are probably pretty restless. Casey and Aaron. I have to lump you two together because I know it was a joint effort for you guys putting this together. I'm so humbled and honored that you would think of me for this award. And I'm actually shocked at the fact that you guys worked so hard and so secretively to keep this from me and make it happen. What I do every day is no different than what either of you do. You are incredible teachers and mentors for our students, and I'm so blessed to work with both of you. You guys are true friends, and I couldn't do this without you. I also want to take a second to thank my family for being here. You guys have been incredibly supportive over the years. You've always helped me keep things in perspective and encouraged me to stay firm in my beliefs. And ultimately, you helped create the foundation for why I'm standing here today. To the PTSA, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't say it enough times. You guys do so much to support our students and staff, and your dedication to Brighton and your students is something I've been so fortunate to witness firsthand through attending events like this, the luncheon you guys provide for us, the grants that you grant me to do the breakfast club that Casey was mentioning. Just extremely fortunate. Dr. McGowan, I don't know where you are, but there you are. Thank you for taking a chance on me and hiring me. Kind of surprised that you did after our final interview, which I consider to be probably one of the most awkward interviews I've ever sat. But for those of you who know me, know that's not anything abnormal either. Here we are. Dr. Hall, Sarah, Teresa, Matt, Mike, you guys are the dream team of administration. And I can't thank you guys enough either. You make the building a climate that inspires me every single day and allows me to do the job to the best of my ability. Congratulations to everybody else who's receiving an award tonight. Just looking out and listening to the stories of the people that I don't know personally and knowing the people who are here that I do know personally, I can honestly say that I am amongst the best of the best in Brighton. I do have to stop and acknowledge, and I was reflecting on whether I was going to do this or not, but I think I need to, the fact that I'm especially honored to be standing here with this award on the same night as Shelley. Many of you know that I started as Shelley's long-term sub when she was out on maternity with Leah. And when I returned and was hired for a probationary position, Shelley was my mentor. She taught me so much over the years and beyond the 2-year mentorship that we shared together. The lessons that she taught me are part of the reason that I'm standing here today. So I thank you. So congratulations to everybody tonight winning the award. Again, I'm just so honored to be amongst all of you. Thank you.
Jed Coons is up next.
Just a quick story about Tony Trama and me. Legend has it that we were both agreed to wear our father's jackets to this event to show our gratitude. Little did I know that Tony's dad once was a men's suit sales representative and had an amazing collection of stylish high-end jackets, and my dad still relishes in 70s corduroy. Oh well, I'm an artist, so what can I say? I can get away with it, right? All right. In all seriousness, let us talk about this mystery man, Tony Trama. This is how our journey has led us here tonight. Tony Trama does not have to try to be good. He exudes truth through and through. It defines him. Tony believes that those who are seekers of truth outside their own conveniences or positions of power will find the goodness in their hearts that connect us all. Tony shares his insights, so those around him can look within to see a greater purpose, even if it is uncomfortable to see our untruths or flaws. Tony knows to make things right, it takes hard work. Moreover, no one in my last 20 years of teaching or so has worked harder to make our futures brighter than Tony does. So who is he? Who is this mystery man? For those who do not know him, Tony Trama is a social studies teacher at Brighton High School and a remarkable person who I believe should receive the PTSA Honorary Life Membership Award. I nominated Tony because he goes out of his way to involve the community and seeks to create real-world demonstrations in his classroom. He brings first-person or real accounts of history to foster an experience that is meaningful to his students of all backgrounds and perspectives. In Tony's classroom, history comes to life, so students can see what it actually may have been like to be a part of each of the historical movements he teaches. To reflect on this observation, Tom Hall, principal at BHS, said, "Several years ago, Tony sat with several students of color to listen to their experiences when it came to social studies curriculum. Tony truly reflects on these conversations and makes an effort to get a greater understanding of race in America and how history is told in our classrooms. His enthusiasm and interest in the topic led him to read Stamped from the Beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America by Ibram Kendi, which helped create a professional book read within the social studies department. Tony not only is an incredible history teacher, he is a social justice activist. And you can find him demonstrating his passion for this as he facilitates group learning activities. For example, Tony recently asked the student's father to come in to talk about how his grandmother survived the Holocaust. In addition, Tony asked the mother of one of our security guards to come in because he found out that she was one of the young girls who was arrested and held in prison for 45 days while protesting in Georgia during the American Civil Rights Movement. One might wonder how Tony can pull this kind of thing off and bring so many unique individuals together to connect with students. A careful observer might conclude that Tony talks to and takes interest in everyone. Jennifer Wheeler, a colleague, said, "He sees students and their potential. He makes an extra effort too for those struggling students. The students with problems at home, the athlete who is trying to find balance in her life, the teens struggling with anxiety, depression, or simple phone addiction. This happens inside the classroom, outside the classroom, from his car parked in a lot where he selflessly shoveled a path so others can get through a snowbank, to the school's front door." According to Lynn Sanger, another colleague, Tony forges relationships with students that last even after they move on. He always has the time to greet and talk with former students who return to visit. From security guard, custodian, teacher, principal, parent, student, to anyone who he crosses paths, Tony will take the time to find out more about you. Jim Pertell, a parent and colleague, wrote that Tony not only wants students to understand history, but he also wants them to understand the context of history and its effect on current events. John Clements, a colleague of Tony's at BHS, agreed and mentioned that he is fair and compassionate, but has the highest expectations for his students. If you have one of his students in class the following year, you can be assured they will be well prepared for your class. I believe that Tony cares about all people, and he finds ways to build on individual stories to further the narrative of how we all fit together in this world. This is how I met him 9 years ago, and he has shaped my life for the better ever since. In other words, Tony figured out who I was, what my potential was, and nurtured that until I became the man he thought I could be. I am forever grateful, as is Pamela Komorowski, a parent who had a similar experience. She noted, "I was able to reach out to over 114 Brighton teachers during my daughter's senior year at BHS. I requested a short note that included a memory or a note of encouragement that I could present to my child upon graduation. It was Mr. Trama's note to her that was filled with specific memories of my daughter. It seemed to me that Mr. Trama does not just make a difference in the lives of his students, but the students each touch Mr. Trama's life as well." Erica Sobel, a 2018 graduate, said, "Mr. Trama is one of the most passionate teachers I have seen through 3 different schooling systems. The articulation of care he puts into his work is remarkable, especially since it rubs off on students. Moreover, Katie Kuzak, a parent, expressed, "I believe that my daughter would not have been as successful in her high school years had it not been for Mr. Trama's support of her necessary modifications in the classroom." Tony Trama makes people come together to share their stories, and he supports them through that process. He is a man for the goodness in people from all walks of life. He wants to pave the way for our students to have a better future by understanding the mistakes we have made in the past and how we can fit into the same humanist narrative if we are willing to examine the truth in ourselves. I believe this matchmaking and people connecting activism is Tony's life mission. It is one that is so subtle and humble and may be not something readily apparent. Nevertheless, Tony mentioned to me on one of our many runs together that I'm an observer like him. Ever since that was revealed, I've noticed him be the first to open the door for someone, reach out when someone's in need, or just lend a helpful ear when someone needs it most. I discovered the man Tony Trama really is. Elizabeth Turney, one of Tony's former students, agreed, and she said, "His interest in my religion, my experiences, my opinions helped us build an easy dialogue. And when I began sharing my writing with him, he became one of my greatest supporters." Long Hao Lee, another former student, concurred, "I have noted his exceptional abilities to engage with students and manage large groups with tranquility and patience." Well, Rob Thomas, TCMS principal, further stated the same with his comment that Tony creates systems where all students can be successful and I can remember him taking extra time with students who are at risk. In conclusion, Tony is an ideal friend, teacher, mentor, and colleague. For these reasons and so many more, I would like to welcome Tony Trama to come forward and receive his PTSA Honorary Life Membership Award. I cannot imagine a more deserving individual for this great honor.
I hesitated there for a moment because I thought he was introducing Gandhi. Thank you, Dad. You were very, very kind. I do want to thank Jed once again. He has been someone very, very close and helpful to me in my career here at Brighton. But there's been a lot of people. And I'll start off by saying that old African proverb about it takes a village to raise a child. And I see it here at Brighton, and it's been amazing. I'm not originally from Brighton. I taught at other school districts before I came at Brighton, and I was kind of an orphan before I came here. And I thank the school here, Dr. McGowan, and all of the administration for everything that they've done and continue to do. I would have to start with my family. I want to start with my mom and dad, who I always say, everything you see good in me is because of my mom and dad. Everything you see bad about me is because I didn't listen to them. And this is true. This is true. My mom, and I have it on my blackboard, I gave her a whiteboard. That's how old I am. At any rate, she has a quote that I've never forgotten since I was a kid. She always told me, she said, "Do good, forget about it. Do bad, think about it." And I've always cherished that by her, and I hold it in my heart. I want to thank my brother and my sisters, Neil, Roseanne, Ann, Flo, Bridget, Laura, and I mentioned them. Okay, I got them all right. I mentioned them because there were 7 of us, and that was something that I really helped me to understand what it meant about teamwork, okay, and working together. Otherwise, you don't survive. So everybody got a pork chop, for instance, for dinner, and that's all you got. And I always cherish that in terms of valuing things and never taking anything for granted when I was growing up. I also want to thank Jim Willis. He's the guy that you can blame for me being here. I was, as I said, a little orphan boy looking for another school to teach at, and Jim encouraged me to try Brighton, and I did. And I'm so glad for it. On the other hand, you can blame me for Jim, okay, because I'm one of the people that encouraged Jim to be a teacher. And Jim and I go way back, by the way. I remember when I was bigger than Jim, if you can imagine that. That's how far back Jim and I go. And we had a lot of great, if you will, likes in life. That's why we really bonded. Things like the Three Stooges, and then, you know, Bob Dylan, Maggie's Farm, one of our favorite songs. But we went way back, and I thank Jim for, you know, introducing me to Brighton. I do think that, what's really interesting about coming here to Brighton was I was challenged immediately, where I worked with children that were challenged at first. I started out in the skills lab. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I'd been around at other schools, never seen this thing called the skills lab, and I'm still in love with it today and still work with it today, where you had dedicated former teachers when I was there that were retired and working there. And I just want to mention them: Patty Hansen, Kathy Legowitz, Judy Shaw, Tom Yale, and Kate Kinsella. I'll never forget them because they broke me in at Brighton. Then I moved on to the Gold program after that, and I got to share time with Shelley Fitzgerald as well. And everything that was said tonight and more is true about Shelley. And one of the things that I remember about Shelley was what a determined person she was to do the best for her students. And I was so glad to witness that. Next, I moved on to, well, I actually want to recognize the special ed department, which I see has been represented here today, and I'm so thankful for that, that they're up here getting their credit. I want to thank Marla Kaplinger, Lynn Sanger, and Marianne Raish, who all touched me while I've been here. These ladies are dedicated, we're dedicated, and I learned a lot from them. As a matter of fact, just today, Marla was helping me with a student in my class and giving me tips on how to give her success in the classroom. So once again, these ladies are just always working. I want to thank also the staff in the office: Lori Minahan, Amy Demas, Mary Ellen Schultz, Charlotte Haig. I just really treasure these ladies because they're always upbeat and they're always giving me joy when I come in every day. They're like my cup of coffee, if you will. Also, some other teachers that I want to mention here, not in my department: Therese Schmidt and Mike Struzik. These two people just down the hall from me have been good friends too as well. I also want to recognize my department. I want to thank Dan Wilmot for hiring me. And I also want to acknowledge the pillars of my department. A lot of these guys are no longer there, but they retired, but they deserve recognition because they inspired me. Mark Letterbine, Ralph Damerall, Mike Noto, and you saw her tonight, Mary Jo Jepsen. And then, finally, in my department, John Clements. He's one of the guys that recommended me. I hold something dear to John because John was my daughter, Allison, who I cherish, and her husband is here tonight too as well, Gino. I'm very proud of them. And John was one of those teachers, though, that kept it going for my daughter in terms of her interest in politics and history. And I'll always be thankful to John for continuing that tradition in my family, at any rate, to be interested in politics and history. And then Tom Hall. I wanted to thank Tom Hall. It's kind of funny about Tom Hall. He always comes up in conversation every day. Don't worry, Tom. It's good. We're at the water cooler, you know, figuratively speaking. And suddenly it came up, you know, like, yeah, I got a text from Tom Hall too. Yeah, I got a text from Tom Hall too. And usually with administrators, if you get a text, that's not good. And that's what we're kind of talking about. We're like, not Tom. Tom's going to text you about positive things that you've done, and Tom's going to let you know about it. We were kind of laughing about it, and I think I topped everyone and said, yeah, one time Tom texted me on New Year's Eve, and I thought I was really in trouble. And then come to find out when I looked at the text, he was thanking me for suggesting a book for him to read. So I was like, ooh. That's all Tom wanted to talk to me about. I also want to thank Mike Malloy and Rob Thomas. These guys were great. They took me in here at TCM when we were going through the Great Recession. Brighton was having a tough time with the budget, and they didn't have a full position for me at the high school. So these guys, they pulled strings and made it work. And Dr. Hackett, who was here at the time, also was involved with that too as well. And also the guy, the superintendent that hired me, Dr. Manaseri, who was the guy that gave me the 2020 vision. Okay. And then finally, I want to thank one of the special people that I work with right now, and that's Jen Wheeler. Jen Wheeler works with our ENL kids, and just like the special ed people, and just like Jen, they really give you a sense of how these kids need our help, and how we can help them, and how we can succeed with them. And Jen, you're one of those people that shows me that every day, and your compassion for those kids rubs off, trust me. Let's see, I just have, and just finally, I just wanted to thank the PTSA and Deborah Pulley for this honor. I noted the title of this award, Lifetime Achievement. I know a lot about awards, and usually when you get Lifetime Achievement, that means maybe that's it. Okay, so I get it, and don't worry, because soon I'll be on a grumpy old man tour, and everything will be fine. And finally, before I go, I want to thank the students. I see Elizabeth here. Elizabeth, you are one of the special ones out there that I will always take note of. And so I appreciate you being here. That means a lot to me. And Brighton students mean a lot to me too. And Jeff's coming to tell me to just get off the stage here.
And last but certainly not least, Ben Vecht is up.
Good evening. Approximately 15 years ago, I began teaching in the Brighton schools. This had been my dream since graduating from Brighton in 1996 and deciding I wanted to teach. On my first day of employment, I walked into the teacher orientation session and met Sean. We immediately established not only a friendship, but a good working relationship. After 3 years in the district, it was decided for some reason that Sean and I would co-teach our science together. Over the past 12 years, I have had the privilege of watching Sean become a husband and a father, as well as grow in his professional life. His ability to engage and foster positive relationships with students and family struck me almost immediately. I've always thought of a good teacher as someone that can build those types of relationships which will produce a safe, trusting environment for children to want to learn and grow in. Sean is that type of person. He's able to utilize this ability as well as his love of teaching in order to successfully engage and support children of all different ability levels. This ability also transferred to coaching. Sean has coached a variety of sports, but made a tremendous impact while serving as the head coach of the field hockey program. He was able to learn about a sport and grow a program into a perennial powerhouse by utilizing the same traits that afforded him so much success in the classroom. Over 10 years, I observed Sean spending countless before and after school time, lunches and free periods, talking and working with his athletes about anything from how they were doing academically, to looking at game film, to supporting students in applying to college. Lastly, Sean made the decision that Brighton was where he wanted to raise his family. He always talks about how connected he feels with this community, and I'm sure his time spent working with students and families was one of the determining factors in wanting his own family to establish roots here. I believe this connection is also reflected in the amount of people that participated in the nomination process by writing letters of support. I believe these letters showed the impact Sean has had on the school, the community, and the people whose lives he has been able to positively affect in a variety of ways. Sean, I have the privilege of presenting to you the PTSA Lifetime Membership Award.
Thank you. Ben, thank you for kind words and the time and effort it took to prepare that nomination of this most prestigious award. I consider myself so fortunate that I get to work with you every day as a colleague, but also consider you one of my best friends. I also want to thank Keely Samsonic, the time that it took her and her families to reach out to all the families of former students in support of me, and as well as all others that wrote letters on my behalf. I'm truly humbled as a jester and consider myself most fortunate to have all the opportunities to be a part of your lives. I also have to thank my wife Sarah and my daughter Tobin and my son Ryder for the extraordinary support network that they've lent me. Just because I see Miranda and Keely in the crowd, I have a quick story. The 2013, the year we were making a run at the field hockey sectionals, Ryder was going to be, a due date was any day. And I remember getting on the bus going to the sectional finals going, I may have to leave this game. I was petrified. So focusing on the game, focusing on our team, focusing on, am I going to be leaving halfway through to go to the hospital? And then we win that game. And then, of course, the next hurdle was going to be in Buffalo. It was the regional. And I was, again, petrified because now I'm going to be in Buffalo. Trying to coach this game, but wondering, is Ryder coming? What's happening? Again, we were fortunate. We win that game. Kids played amazing. We come home, and then Ryder is born on Tuesday following. The Friday following, we were supposed to leave for the state tournament. I remember I'm in the hospital. It's just an amazing, the emotions, the words, I don't have the words. And I remember looking at Sarah going, Sarah, I'm going to stay here. And she's like, no, you're going. So there I was on the bus, and we headed to Syracuse. So we had a regional game Saturday. That was a game. If we won, we stayed in Syracuse another night. And if we didn't, we were coming home. And I remember Keely scores that game winner in overtime, and I'm thrilled. You can watch the video on YouTube. It's pretty wild. But also, I'm like, okay, I got to call Sarah and tell her I'm not coming home for another night. Again, that shows you the support. It's really times like these, I wish I was a better writer and I could more accurately portray my gratitude to the Brighton Central School District and the community as a whole. To give you kind of a small glimpse of my past, the last 17 years, is to start with my first day, 2001. I was a new teacher's aide, and I was in orientation. This is when I began to learn about all the nuances that make Brighton amazing, and I met Sarah. She was also there as a new teacher's aide that first day. So, what a great day. From there, I was mentored my student teaching by Stu McBean and Bill Williams. And having these two amazing educators to guide me really helped mold me into the teacher I am. I started teaching in high school in 2004, began coaching field hockey in 2008, and all these things really led to buying our first home in Brighton in 2010, and now I get the privilege to attend ice cream socials with my own children. And I'm truly ecstatic that they both get to experience the Brighton school system. As I mentioned, I'm truly humbled to be recognized in this fashion. I can say that finding success in this district comes easy as I'm able to work with such incredible staff and students. The students that I've worked with has always inspired me to work and become a better version of myself, and I've kept me working to make sure that my efforts are always matched their enthusiasm. The faculty and staff, some of the finest people I've ever known, and really make working and living here a true dream. I'm so proud to consider myself a teacher, a coach, and a community member, and a parent in this truly amazing place. I want to thank the PTSA for this amazing award. It's really an honor to be up here with the rest of the staff this evening, and just thank you. Thank you all.
Mr. Trama, don't leave without this, okay? Thank you for coming to tonight's award ceremony. I'd like to thank all of the administrators, colleagues, parents, and students who submitted letters. Many of you submitted multiple letters, and I do appreciate that. Thank you to Dave Luce and his staff here at TCMS for helping with the setup tonight. Please join us for refreshments and congratulations in the foyer just outside of the auditorium. Good night.
I'm sorry, I gotta make something right, okay? I have to apologize to my wife. She was on the car. Accepting awards and never thanking their wives. And I do that. So I did want to just tell us one quick thing that happened. It's good, trust me. Sunday night, I went to Jiva Theater to go see Desmond Still. Tremendous, thing. And I asked my wife to go with me to support Desmond. She was beautiful. She said, yes, I'll go. She comes home. Just as she's turning into the driveway, she gets smacked by a car from behind. We got just 1 hour to get to the play, and now she's dealing with a car accident. Now, most people would have been upset, go without me, all this. She was totally calm. She calls the insurance company. She's on the phone, getting dressed. We go to the show. We get there. Everything is fine. She goes, she gets a nice glass of wine. She sits there. The curtain's going up. Next thing I know, I turn to say something to her. I knocked the wine all soaked all the way here. But I didn't realize I had knocked all of it there. She said nothing about it the whole play. She enjoyed the play. At the end of the play, I said, geez, how much of that wine did I spill? She said, all of it. And not only that, but she goes home with me and she said, look, Sunday nights is your night to correct papers. Go correct the papers. I'll fix you dinner. I'll do the dishes. You do your papers. And that's what she did. That's the kind of support I get from that beautiful woman. And I'll tell you right now, I love her.
This has been a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District's PTSA.